is it?
It's a horse they found wandering about in no man's land.
What kind of an horse?
A miraculous kind of an horse, be my guess.
So you're all playing, obviously, soldiers in the film, and you're involved in these tremendous scenes, you know. And how does Stephen prepare you to be a World War I soldier?
Good question.
Well,
sent us to a horse camp, and that was the best training we could have for playing cavalry officers.
we were all sort of conscripted to go to a farm just outside London, where we were drilled like soldiers, essentially, for 5 weeks, every day, turning up at the farm, learning how to saddle horses, learning how to wash them, and essentially riding them, starting from the beginning. Walking, trotting, cantering, galloping, cantering in formation, doing it one-handed with a sword. I mean, it's a skill set that you can only do slowly.
But actually the preparation I felt I needed to do was not about learning how to be a soldier, it was more about where we'd come from before that, because we were in the first wave, and I think that our story is the sort of loss of innocence, and so it was more about the world, that immediately pre-war world.
Yeah, you know, let's talk about that, because, I mean, you know, 21st century, we've seen all happen in, you know, First World War and World War II. What's great about this film is that it does talk about this poignancy and this gallantry about being a soldier and then, you know, going on and then seeing what the real horrors of war were. Did you guys have a chance to interact with any soldiers who fought in World War II, probably World War I, but who'd they bring around to show you what was the real experience was like?
Well, they didn't bring anyone around, but, you know, the truth of the matter is I know a lot of military chaps back home in England. I have a fella I spend a lot of time with, Ian Morrison, is a great friend. And I think humans have been humans for an extremely long time, at least enough to give us insight into that. And I think spending time with anybody who's military, who's done service, even a modern-day soldier, it's a certain feeling and a certain being who does that and is proud of themselves, as they should be, for doing it. And so I think it's not really that we need to spend time with First World War veterans or anybody who actually experienced that moment in time. For the history of the thing is just time itself, rather than humans have changed such a massive degree. I mean, the harshness of it has certainly become much, much, much greater. But I tell you what, I don't think I would have liked to have fought in a battle where the other guy had an axe and I had a sword, to be fair.
Yeah. Although this is one of the best documented wars. I mean, I don't know what's going to come out of the recent wars, but it doesn't seem like we're going to have the same literary inheritance from. I mean, there are some extraordinary books leading up to and about the war, and they certainly I found them useful to read. I mean, just
there are the poems of Siegfried Sassoon and Wilfred Owen, and also the play Journey's End by R.C. Sheriff, and these are people who've become literary giants in the course of the span of the 20th century, and they were simply men who served and who wrote it down. But it does feel like the First World War particularly was a war in which Europe as a continent lost its innocence, and the world changed, and a generation was wiped out.
And in addition, this isn't a film, this isn't a film documenting war, you know, so I think it's important just to have the human element of it, seen from the eyes of a horse. I think that's really what was the feeling as I went into it. It wasn't like, study war, this is a war film. No. It didn't feel
It's very
like
much
that
about the incidentals of
precisely
of the war and the people affected by it on the outside, you know, the people you wouldn't normally think of in the war. It's not really a soldier's point of view, is it? It's I mean, the book is written from the horse's point of view originally, and that the spirit of that is carried on into the film.